Good morning, Doug.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I am doing great. It's a beautiful day here in central Indiana, isn't it?
It is. I don't know if you realize this, Keith. You probably do. You're a man of remembrance of significant events. But where were you 12 months ago today?
Well, months ago today, you're going to have to tell me. I could figure it out pretty quickly, but I don't know.
12 months ago, we smacked a bottle of champagne on this ship called Gimbal Financial and took it to a new destination and a new journey and began this journey as a full RIA.
Ah,
And and, and we began the process of partnering up with Fidelity and Mutual Securities and it's just been a great. I've learned a lot, and I want to just express just with a grateful heart how appreciative I am to God for him giving us a confidence and a path, and for you, Keith, for saying yes to the adventure, and Amanda and Debbie and Eric and Phil and uh, goodness, especially to the clients. You
hmm.
guys, thank you for being alongside of us on the ride and having confidence in us. We have just really enjoyed this past year.
Well, it's a big deal. There are risks and everything. That was a big risk to make a change because it seems a lot safer just to stay put and not make changes in life, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah, and some of the things I look back on and I've seen come to fruition is we had a thought of how can we find better yield for our clients in the simplest of ways, and it seems simple to want to achieve something in return on your savings account on your money that's sitting idle in cash, and that's definitely something that's happened over the past 12 months is the yield inside money market accounts has really improved, and part of that is a lot of that is increase in interest rates, but it's also partnering up with the right people who allow us to pass on that yield to the clients instead of capturing that for the company bottom line. So
Hmm.
that's been something I've been really encouraged.
That's a big deal. It's a wonderful thing to see businesses that are looking out for their customers and genuinely trying to do what's right for them, and not only the customers but also their employees, and just doing it in an honorable way. And so I really feel comfortable with the organizations we've teamed up with this last year.
Yeah, I do too.
Well, what do we need to talk about today, Doug?
Well, it's any holiday week is in as far as the stock market is concerned is typically a little less action. However, this week we've had some action. We've had some selling taking place, and we could probably start off with the markets.
Yeah, I'll pop up the NASDAQ real quick here. This is the NASDAQ. Again, you can't own the NASDAQ. It's simply an index of stocks. There are similarities that you can buy, and uh, we had
Hey,
again.
Keith, you want to make that screen a little bigger there? Is there a way to like drop down the list of stocks there? There you
Yeah,
go.
how's that?
Perfect.
So this is a 12-month view of the NASDAQ that we're kind of rounding out this sell-off we had. And here is what Doug was referring to. This here and this day here, we came out of the fourth with some selling pressure into the NASDAQ. And today we've got a little bit of buying going on. We kind of had the those 2 days that were right there and there. We're just kind of coming out of the holiday weekend, and some sellers are trying to pressure the market. We'll see how today ends.
There must have been some hedge fund, mutual funds, and college endowments who said, "Hey, no, you can't take a vacation this week. You've got to go into the office and stealthily sell our stuff," because the volume, like Keith was pointing out, really has increased. And I was hoping not to see that. I don't know about you, Keith, but when I see those two bars that Keith highlighted to the right of your screen, to the right bottom of your screen, and that tells us that, yeah, the sellers have come out. And really, in general, the market still is holding up very well. We don't have anything to complain about. But for a holiday week, I didn't expect all these people to go to work and start selling. So it's been interesting.
Yeah, I highlighted some past holidays. Like, here's the Christmas holiday season. This red line is the average volume in that particular index during that period of time. So on an average trading day, you would expect it to come close to that red line. So during Christmas time, you can see where there just wasn't a lot of activity. People had left, and they weren't making any more decisions. They might have made their decisions over here, what they were going to do for year end, and then maybe right after the beginning of the year it picks up. And then this was the 4th of July timeframe in 2022. So the fact that there were some sellers coming out, it'd be interesting just to see how today unfolds. Sometimes the second half of July tends to be a little choppy marketplace on the downside.
Well, and it is amazing what you can do on a holiday week or a vacation. Is we have more tools today than ever. I mean, for me to be able to take this computer and pull over in North Manchester, Indiana, at a little bakery and do some work is just amazing that we have this technology to be able to do it. And so maybe that's what the sellers were doing as well, as they had pulled off to some bakery and decided to unload some of their winning positions. I don't know. But if we could, Keith, could we pull up the VIX? Or I'm happy to do it. I was looking at that, and oh, let's see. I'm disabled. Would you mind pulling that up for me? There we go. Yeah, and so you can see the VIX to the right. This measures the ups and downs of the stock market, and if you look all the way to the right, it's fairly low, which is a good thing. When you think about the VIX, it's like a golf score. You want it to be low, and it's been the lowest it's been in a long time. Now, it's been here before. It's been lower than this before, but nevertheless, this has been a very good place to be. Keith, tell us about that line that you just drew across. What were you illustrating there?
Well, historically, when you've had upward trending markets, the VIX is the most peaceful below 20 there. And you can see how volatile these things were, throughout 2022. I was just changing some dates here to kind of give a perspective. Like, this was a year ago. We came into the sell-off. This was 2021 right here. We came into the sell-off just banging up and down around that. And then if I go back another year, we were coming off the COVID here, and we were just never, the market worked its way up coming out of the COVID, but it was definitely just very volatile. And then if we go back one more year and look at it, you can see we had a long period of time below 20. This over here is COVID. Beware.
My goodness.
COVID sell there.
That's good art. That's impressive. Yeah, it kind of looks like the picture of COVID, or the roundabout statue near our office. Very nice.
Yeah, so that the beauty of lower volatility is it just makes things a lot easier to stay in the market rather than to get shaken out. And
If
it
you,
seems kind of counterintuitive that we're in low volatility with some of the craziness going on in the economic system, but the market is kind of a leader of the economy and not a follower.
yeah, and Keith, if you would switch over to the S&P, and something I've been encouraged by, I've been going back and just looking at Gimbal portfolios this week, and as you guys have heard, the S&P has just been roaring, the Nasdaq has been roaring, and the stock market's I don't know if we were trained by the mutual fund industry or who it was, but we like to look in the rear view mirror a lot in this industry, and Keith and I are striving to look through the front windshield, but the industry really likes to look in the rear view mirror 12 months, 36 months, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and there's a smoother ride normally when you do that. But has been good to see us break out from where we were this time last year. However, if we were to go back from the highs, we're still lower than the highs. Is this what you're illustrating, Keith?
Well, no, I'm just illustrating that even though from, a lot of the numbers that people will be broadcasting will be since here January 1st, but the reality is if you pick other dates, the market's still trading pretty much sideways from where it was April of a year ago. We're still below those levels, and also we're probably, I guess, we're right at this level right here, which was probably May timeframe a year ago. So we're making traction, but it's definitely a change of direction from the downward trend and not something extravagant right now.
Yeah, very good.
It's worthy of optimism though, no doubt. So
Oh yeah, I'm so grateful for all of you to have experienced a good market, and especially in the last couple of months. It's been trying to spread out and be more diversified than just a few technology stocks. It's trying really hard, but we're still in that place where several of these stocks, the smaller stocks, the mid-sized stocks, they're really fighting to try and break out. Here we go. Yeah.
yeah, when we're talking about the VIX, Doug, the VIX is really a measure of stock options relative to the underlying index, and we were showing the ones relative to the S&P 500. So it's not a perfect correlation. It's the best measure of volatility that I think that we have out there right now. But this is the actual S&P small cap 600 index, and it has if our friend Patrick Walker, I think he's the one. So if you just throw a chart on the floor and take a look at it, it should be able to tell you what it is. And this just tells you clearly small size companies have been very, very volatile. We've tried to get into these for you all recently, and we sense that the volatility is kind of flattening out over here on the right hand side, but you can see it just hasn't made any progress in the last 12 months or more. I can probably show this on a weekly. Yeah, I mean, on the weekly, it peaked out in December of 21, and it's still not too far off the lows.
Yeah.
What else is on your mind, Doug?
Well, you and I spent the 4th of July together, which was really great. Keith and I, we went to one of the most famous venues in all of Indiana, which, for all of you who are out of state and you're trying to put a vacation, a dream vacation together. I know a lot of retirees like to go to Alaska, but consider the Anderson Speedway on your list. Keith and I were there for what Night of Thunder. And while there, I just kept thinking, and I didn't grow up too far from there. I grew up in Muncie, about a half hour away. I just kept thinking, what was this place like when there were actual manufacturers nearby? Because you could just look across the parking lot and see these vacant manufacturing facilities, and you wonder what the people did for a living. What are they doing right now? Where are they working? And so it led me down a path of what's happening with manufacturing in the world. And I was actually encouraged by what I saw out there. And there's a couple terms. Maybe you've heard of these. Nearshoring. Have you heard of this term? Nearshoring?
I have not. It's a new one to me.
So, nearshoring in business and manufacturing is basically when you're working with groups of people who are close to your home base. And then there's reshoring, which is my favorite. Reshoring is when you say, hey, we've got plant over in China, and we're going to bring it back to Anderson, Indiana. And this is starting to happen. The supply chain supposedly been a catalyst for this. There's been some government spending dollars that have been encouraging businesses to relocate and make it easier. But I've been very encouraged to see that reshoring is happening in Ohio, in New Mexico, in Texas, in New York, and this reshoring would be great for. It'd be great for our GDP. Right now, only 9% of folks in America are employed in some type of manufacturing, and our country was built being making stuff, and so it would be great to see places like Anderson and see some reemergence of manufacturing.
Yes, it would. And just the individual spirit at the Anderson Motor Speedway. I thought I'd share with you one of the final races there with the trailer race at the end of the night. It was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was impressive. There's an HBO documentary on the Anderson Speedway, if you want to get a real flavor of it.
I think it's called Dirty Driving. I think it's what it's called.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, and it's a fun getaway for an evening if you want a non-traditional sport for 15. I think it's $15.
18 bucks, free parking.
Yeah, $18, all the entertainment you want for $18. So it was a lot of fun. I like my daughters, I don't think would go to a NASCAR race, but I had 3 of them at the race. So it tells you how much fun. I mean, some of them have been before, and I think Kristen, it was her first. So it was a lot of fun.
Well, that's what I had on my mind. It's just, the reshoring of the manufacturer cheering you on. And we've talked a little bit about service on this show and automation on this show, and automation is making it easier to reshore today. And we have a skilled workforce too. You think about the folks in places like Anderson whose grandparents and parents worked in manufacturing facilities. They have that culture and that worldview, where it'd be an attractive place to put up a semiconductor factory. So that's what was on my mind.
Well, there's the reshoring, the automation, the changes. The last week I showed you the Indiana University IDS paper with, the fist pump to get rid of or to bring in the union into the Starbucks there near the mall in Bloomington. And I pointed out, the automated McDonald's. I think there's 1 employee, and I was able to beat that this week. I've got a business that there was no employees, and I don't know if you guys have seen this before or not. It's called the Hudson Nonstop, I think. Have you seen those, Doug?
No, I haven't traveled in a while, but I've been in a Hudson, but not a Hudson Nonstop.
I think that's what it's called, Nonstop. I can't read it now, but so it's got these credit card things you swipe here to go into the store.
It's amazing.
And so there was a person standing out here telling you just swipe your card, but you can't get in until you swipe your card, and there's nobody inside there. And so I thought for Gimbal research, I would go over here. Right over here is some water bottles. I thought I usually carry one with me. I thought I'll just buy one and see how this thing works. And so I did that. I roamed around the store. It had a little kiosk that said if you want a receipt to type in your email address, which I did. I just thought I'd see how this thing worked. And then it um, basically sent me an email, just walk out, technology by Amazon. And it you could look at the receipt, and crazy enough, it had my bottle of water and sent it. It was in my, I didn't, I don't know how, it was like magic. I don't know how any of it worked. I picked up the bottle, I walked around the store. I don't know if I'd had a bottle in my backpack, if it would have, yeah, yeah, it's all real fascinating because the radio frequency information somehow is able to distinguish between products, which again suggests that the idea to unionize, the idea to raise minimum wage, just says you can do that, but the entrepreneurs are going to offer some pushback to that.
And what you can't see the people in that picture, but imagine the groups of people who came up with that system, sitting around, coming up with it, testing it. And there's so much that goes, there's somebody who's got to restock the beverages, the aisles. There's people there. There's a mom and dad who own the construction company to do the build out. They've got the contract. And so there is business, there's involved there. They're behind the scenes.
Right. And I don't know if our viewers are paying attention to some of the things that are going on the West Coast, where the prosecutors are not prosecuting theft at stores less than $1,000, and it's disrupting the shopping. They're pulling Walmarts out, they're pulling businesses out of those areas. But I'm guessing that maybe this type of technology might be a way to help in those scenarios where you might not be able to get into those types of stores without having a credit card. Like the employee, a lot of the employees you might see might actually be security outside saying you can't go in without a credit card in hand. So who knows? But that's the entrepreneurial spirit in America, that if there's a problem created, a lot of times those problems are created by governments, just like the raising the threshold for the prosecutors out in the West Coast. So who knows what'll happen, but that's the reason you can remain optimistic. Somebody's got an idea to fix the problems that others create.
Well, man, way to bring it home and take a picture of something real time that you did. Was that in Austin?
That was in Dallas, Fort Worth. So
Okay.
I would imagine if it's in Dallas, Fort Worth, it'll probably be like in Indianapolis airport or someplace close to you before long. I'm guessing that's a test market to get the travelers familiar with the idea, because I've seen little kiosks where there may or may not have been somebody standing out there by the stuff where you could self-check it. There's a Circle K down in Martinsville, Indiana, that they just built, that I stopped at on my way to Evansville. And they've got cashiers, but they've also got these little systems that you can ring up everything without the cashier. So I can see all this kind of going together in the months and years ahead.
It's so good. Keith, you've always got stuff on your mind. And if you don't, Mr. Stonks is there to whisper an idea to you. I see Hi, Mr. Stonks. But what else do you have on your mind today?
Well, I've had a couple things. I might have mentioned to y'all that I was consolidating some coins that I had collected over the years, and I got on the Nickel Traders number 3 2023 newsletter from a coin dealer, and I was looking at that. But I would suggest that if you do have coins, that there are people to help you with that and to streamline that process for you. That can be cumbersome if you collect them and you don't do anything with them. And that's a worthwhile thing. There's I was helping with Caleb's wife was getting her ring soldered together, her wedding band and her engagement ring, and I was watching the jewelers when we went in to do that, and they have a little gun that they shine at your diamond now. I didn't know that this was a thing, and it says whether it's a diamond or not. And
don't tell Caroline that.
That's right. And so if you haven't had your jewelry appraised lately, Probably want to do that for your homeowner's insurance to make sure that's appropriate, but to get that little gun in there and maybe get things checked out. Along the lines of that, one of the tricks that we learned with the jewelry when my mom was struggling with dementia is that she loved her rings, and it could be dangerous. I mean, not dangerous, it could be risky leaving rings on somebody with dementia or Alzheimer's. But what we were able to do was to take the diamonds out and replace them with cubic zirconium, so that the main risk that she had was the band itself, and usually the band isn't the most expensive part of it. But that's a worthwhile thing for you to take a look at if you've not considered some of those odds and ends resources. And then the final one, I was talking to one of our clients. I might have mentioned on the show a few weeks ago that I grabbed stuff out of the attic, was sitting in the driveway and just getting it away, throwing stuff away, enjoying those 1970s pictures with me wearing the basketball shorts and those long skinny legs, and they went in the dumpster. It's like, I don't need those anymore. That Keith is no longer the one that we have today. But in the midst of that, I had a rubber made tub of Topps baseball cards from the 1980s, and they might have written it down. I think it's 1985 to 1988. If you're going to dispose of those, don't do it based on this. This is an estimate, but between 1985 and 1988, the Topps baseball card company did quite a bit like what the U.S. Federal Treasury did, is they started.
That's right.
And so those years, 1985 to 1988, if that's the right years, I can verify them for our show notes, but they're just not worth anything. Well, that Rubbermaid tub was full of those cards, and I happened to call our friend Steve, who's a baseball card aficionado, and Steve happened to be a mile away, came over, he took them all, and was able to distribute those to some school teachers that use them to reward the kids. When they do things, they get rewards.
That's
And
awesome.
what's really cool about it,
That's awesome.
it works like money, because if you get reward, you get the baseball card. Well, most of those baseball cards in the box were worth a penny a piece. Some of them may be worth $1. And so the kids can actually learn the economy by trading baseball cards. Even though they were the worst of the worst baseball cards, they still have some value to the kids. And so if you get motivated to clean out some stuff, clean out your garage, things that you think are valuable, that maybe aren't, don't be quick to throw them away. There may be somebody that may be blessed by something as simple as a baseball card.
I've got a whole bunch in that era. Yeah, that's
Give
great.
Steve a call. He will help you sort through them, and he'll bring a blessing to somebody. It's really cool.
That is a good word.
I think on the same lines, if anybody has baseball cards they think are valuable, there's a Taylor University grad over on 96th Street in it's on the Indianapolis side, over by I-69, that's got a really good card store
By the Menards.
Yep, in front of the Menards there, that's worthy of going in there, and they can check out the pricing for you. But yeah, that's all I know. It's baseball season. The All-Star game's got to be around the corner, and it looks like it's going to be a wonderful weekend here in Indianapolis.
That's good stuff. I'm going to make one final request to all of our viewers. There is never really a great time or a good season to review your estate documents, but I want to encourage you guys to do that. And I know we talk about it on the show or in person quite a bit, but there's probably some of you who do not have a will, or you don't have things titled to go to someone else. And I just want to encourage you guys, please get with somebody, get with us, and get your estate docs in order. Your will, your living will, power of attorney, healthcare power of attorney. All of those things are critically important at some point in time in your life. And you can't take your baseball cards with you.
No, you can't.
And odds are those baseball cards are going to go to somebody you don't even know. but we can help you think through how to do this. And we can be there with you to encourage you, especially if you have kids. Having your will and estate docs is just critically important.
Well, I can't guarantee a freebie. However, I was talking to our friend Jamie down the street, and in July, she is going to have a kind of a little fair for recent graduates, which I assume if there's a teenager involved, she's going to give away free wills for like young teenagers going into college, because
That's awesome.
how important she thinks it is. So if there are teenagers listening, or that somebody that might want to get that done, reach out to us. We'll see if we can get you an invitation to Jamie's little festival.
Yeah, and Keith, you've mentioned this before, and you're going to college out of state. Just having this stuff done is critically important, especially for the healthcare side.
Yeah, I mean, your kids are no longer yours once they hit that 18, and so you won't, if they're even if they're at Bloomington from here and they were in the hospital for some reason, you probably can't get the information without that healthcare power of attorney. So it's a big deal. Good
All
work.
right. Hey, it is always good to be on here with you, Keith, and I'd high five you if I was right next to you on just a fantastic year since 7/7 of last year. And I'm just grateful for everybody for the opportunity to keep walking through life with you.
Me as well. You guys have a great weekend.
Bye.